This episode of Another Happy Pod is going to contain spoilers. If you've not experienced the content yourself, please go ahead and do so before coming back and listening to the boys ramble on about it. Thank you very much.
This podcast is sponsored by Gandalf's Bussy.
Use code AnotherHappyBussy for 10% at checkout and free shipping.
Welcome back to Another Happy Pod, the pod where we like to keep things positive. As usual, I am joined by Nathan, who is older than me. Nathan, how old are you?
Alright, yeah, simple. Okay, let's go with that, sure. Hello, I'm Nathan. I'm older than Lawrence, and I'm 27 years old.
Oh, that sucks, Nathan. I'm only 24, and I'm a ripe 24, as it was my birthday last week.
Well, you're getting older.
Happy birthday.
No, I refuse. We didn't do that for my birthday, so we won't do it for yours.
No, it's true. But that's because Boris fucked the country on your birthday.
He did. Boris did well and truly fuck the country on my birthday. What happened on yours? Anything of note?
I don't know.
No, probably not.
Am I supposed? Are you leading up to something, or is there something?
I genuinely don't know. I think it was just another boring day. Really?
No, it was a great day. I had some balloons waiting for me when I woke up from zucchini, so that I had a good time. Thank you.
Great.
Got myself a Lego Boba Fett as well.
Great.
Yeah. Well, now that everyone's clued up on how my birthday went, should we jump into what we're doing, which is of course Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, no, you got that wrong there. Well, you got it half wrong anyway. It's just one of those two different franchises.
Oh, I see. Okay. So,
yeah.
Which one was it?
It's the Lord of the Rings.
Ah, I see.
This is a great banner.
This is great. This is all definitely staying in as well. And no, that's not even a joke. It will stay in because I'm trying to do as little work editing these as possible.
Fuck's sake.
Ah, Nathan, right, where should we begin? I think we should acknowledge the elephant in the room.
What's the elephant in the room, Lawrence?
Well, the elephant in the room.
I don't think we should acknowledge it.
Do you not? Well, I'm going to do it anyway and put you on the spot.
All right.
I think it's the best way to... I think being open and honest with our audience of 7 is the way to be. So let's say me and Nathan have already had this conversation for about 40 minutes. We've already spoken about this film. We well and truly know each other's opinions on it. And we lost the audio. Or when I say we, of course I mean Nathan and his PS5. So we thought we'd give it a break and we'd try and record this again. And so that's what this is.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, okay. I didn't lose the audio. Something happened and it fucked up, okay? And we didn't do the whole episode, so some of it may still be fresh, but we'll see how we go.
I think we only got a little bit through. Well, we got through Fellowship and we did a bit of Twin Towers, so there's still a lot of fresh Return of the King content.
Twin Towers is something else entirely.
Not the Twin Towers. Do you know why? It's because on my list of notes I wrote Two Towers and then I went back and changed it to Twin.
Why?
So I don't know. I guess I was trying to be funny, but
what funny joke that is.
was a really tragic ordeal. I don't want to make light of it. I'm very sorry.
What a funny joke.
I'll keep this in. Transparency works two ways, Lawrence. It's a double-edged sword.
I'm sure it does.
Oh gosh. Okay, right. So Nathan, you sprung this on me. It was 2 weeks ago, but I did watch them in the first week because, like I said, we did try and record this, so I had to binge these in within 7 days.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a a bit of an effort because they're all about 3 hours and fuck knows how long.
They're around 3 hours each. Yeah.
Yeah. We watched the theatrical. That's right.
Yeah. So we watched the theatrical. I decided that would be the best way for you to experience these movies for the first time, for 2 reasons really. I thought that if it was your first experience watching them, I think it's always a good idea to watch the theatrical first, because then when you watch the extended edition, you know what's different, you know what's been added, so you can appreciate it more. And also, I didn't want to be mean and just make you watch 12 hours worth of movies in a week.
Yeah, no, I think. I mean, the extended I hear is a somewhat of a better experience. I told a few friends that I was watching the theatrical, and they said extended or nothing.
Extended is the best. Is definitely the best way to watch them, but not for your first time. No.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Oh shit! I just started playing Spider-Man, and then I realised that the sounds will come through on the recording, so I quickly stopped.
Nathan, all you have to do is have a conversation, and we still haven't got your full attention. It's so easy to do this. Oh god, right, okay. So overall, I started. There's a reason I've tried to watch these once. It was a big let's do a marathon of them.
Yeah.
And I think I got through maybe 10 minutes into the second one and fell asleep, or either fell asleep or went home. But one of the two, I didn't get through all of
So
them.
you would have watched all of the first one?
I watched all of the first one, but this was about 6-7 years ago, so I don't remember a thing about it. And I was half asleep throughout the second half of it, so I had basically no idea what the fuck this film was about.
Yeah.
I just kind of saw a little Daniel Radcliffe-esque boy running around with big feet, and that was my understanding of it.
Right.
So I can't say I was excited. It's definitely a block. I feel like I know quite a lot of pop culture things. I'm a fan of Marvel. I'm a fan of Star Wars. And so, I was always kind of oh, I really should watch this because I know it's supposed to be good.
Yeah.
But I never did because I tried that one time and it kind of soured my opinion of it, despite the fact it was my fault that I just didn't pay attention enough. But I also thought, it can't possibly be as good as everyone said it was going to be. And whilst I would still argue this kind of shit isn't normally my cup of tea, so that there is a bit of thing
what, fantasy?
There. There's a bit of... Yeah, it's not that I dislike it, it's just not for me, normally.
Right.
It's not something that I tend to enjoy as a genre. I prefer, the kind of fantasy, I think you said it before, fantasy light stuff like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Right? I don't mind that, whereas I feel when you start getting into, the wizards and shit like that, I get a bit I don't... It's never really particularly done anything for me, so I was hoping that this would come at it in a fresh, interesting way.
But
or at least...
When you say you're not interested in the sort of the wizards and all that stuff, don't you also really like Harry Potter?
Yeah, but is that fantasy?
Which one
really?
could argue is exclusively wizards?
Yeah, well that's true. But it's not. It doesn't feel like a fantasy, does it? Especially in the later films, it just feels like some wizards in real life.
Yeah, that's true. That's because it's fantasy mixed with reality, really.
It's whereas this is for someone that isn't a fantasy fan, jumping into this is fuck.
Yeah.
It's fantasy through and through.
Yeah, that's right.
So I was expecting to be a little bit tired of these. To sum up my feelings on the trilogy as a whole, I started off being I like this a lot. Second half of Fellowship, I kind of veered out a little bit. I was I don't care too much about it. Two Towers, I loved, really, really enjoyed it. A lot more than I was expecting to as well. I thought, this. I knew the second one. That there is some sort of a general consensus because it has the Battle of Helm's Deep in it. That this one is like people's favourites, or at least regarded as one of the best ones. So I watched this and I was expecting to like it more, but I was surprised at how much I really, really did enjoy it. And then Return of the King, I kind of felt was just yeah, sure, they've topped it off nicely. But Return of the King didn't do much for me personally. But overall, I like the trilogy.
Yeah.
If that sums up.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. So I think I always say I think the Fellowship of the Ring is the best movie in the three of them. For me, anyway, this is my opinion. I think it's the best well-made movie. As in, and if you just want to watch a kind of one-off self-contained story, I think that kind of works. Yeah, sure, towards the end it does kind of go towards a cliffhanger of sorts, but I think it can still serve as kind of a one-off self-contained story. And I really like a lot of stuff in that movie. Two Towers is it's good. It's good. I think Two Towers is the worst paced out of the three of them. But I love the Battle of Helm's Deep. It's great. I said this last time, but even with Legolas's 2000s rad skateboarding moment, I still love it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought it up again, because I liked that joke the last time, and it is a very gnarly moment on Legolas's part.
Very gnarly, tubular, bro. Very tubular.
Yeah, exactly. Mate,
it is just so 2000. Like, you wouldn't put that in a movie today. That is very early 2000s.
I don't know. I feel like for the time it came out, I feel like there's the equivalent of that today, like the Captain America holding the hammer. I feel like that was. Yes, I know it's not a kind of a weighted moment with stuff behind it, but I feel like fans of Legolas were probably like, yes, that was the best moment in the whole fucking thing. Like, I really liked it.
No, I don't think it's anything like Cap holding the hammer, though. I think it's very much of the time. Like, skateboarding was big in the late 90s, early 2000s,
Yeah.
so I don't think you'd have anything like that today. I don't mean from, like, fan reaction, I mean just, like, putting a skateboarding trick in your fantasy movie.
Nah, fair enough.
And then Return of the King, I like Return of the King purely because it's just got some great battle scenes in it. I don't think there's any battle in Return of the King which is quite as good, as intense as the one for Helm's Deep in the Two Towers, but there's still some great battle moments, and just everything with Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
And when the Riders of Rohan arrive there, it's just pure gold. So I love all that stuff.
All right. So overall, I don't know. Where would you say your opinion of this is? Like, do you hold it up on a pedestal like a lot of people do, or do you like? Is it just like, yeah, that's fine?
No, I think I do. Yeah, I think it's definitely something I hold in high regard and have a lot of nostalgia for.
Yeah.
I went to see the first movie. I mentioned this last time I recorded as well. I went to see it on my birthday because it came out on my birthday. Wednesday, the 19th of December, 2001. It was my 8th birthday, and me and my dad went to see it at an Odeon in Scotland. It was very good. From then I fell in love with it. So I do kind of have this kind of nostalgia for it. Saying that though, rewatching these movies the other week, it was the first time I'd watched them all through properly in about 6 or 7 years or so. So it had been quite a while. It was really good. I felt so happy just watching that opening battle in the Fellowship of the Ring again. The nostalgia really got to me. So yeah, I do kind of put them up on that pedestal, I think.
Fair enough. I suppose the easiest way, like we tried to do last time, is probably, do you want to go through film by film?
Yeah. So let's start off with the Fellowship.
Okay.
So you're saying this is kind of, you liked the first half, but then it kind of veered off.
Yeah. All right. So I'll expand on that because I feel like I was maybe a bit harsh. I'm trying to reiterate a lot of what I've said before, but a lot of what I said before, I said it nicely, whereas now I'm like, I want this podcast done. Like, I just want it to be out so I can stop thinking about it now. Right. So. Yeah, it's not that I didn't like the second half. I felt it slowed down and I found it a bit predictable. Now, obviously, there's certain plot elements I know. Like, for example, I know that Sean Bean died. So, like, there's...
Because it's Sean Bean.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. And that man dies in absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So, there were certain things I saw coming. So, I kind of have to... I have to be a little bit, biased, in my opinion, of, I can't really truthfully say it became predictable because I knew certain stuff, so I knew the build up.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, as a plot as a whole, the first half I really enjoyed because of the fact that I was like, right, I'm not into fantasy, but I'm really going to try and go into this with an open mind. So I welcomed the whole the Shire is probably the most fantasy-esque place, and the best place to open it. I liked all the little kind of banter between all the hobbits. I thought that was great, and I really liked. Is Aragorn gone?
Aragorn.
I get him confused with that big spider in Harry Potter.
Aragorn. Yeah.
Aragorn, son.
Aragorn.
Okay, all right. So I really liked him in this movie. And he quickly became the person that I as soon as he was on screen, I very quickly stopped giving a shit about Frodo.
Is it because he's handsome?
It's because he's handsome, Nathan. He's classic Hollywood handsome, and I was swept away by the tricks that they were putting in front of me. No, so the thing I really liked, and kind of as a through line through all of these movies, but especially in this film, was the kind of the three lads being the three lads, which is obviously Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. I was a big fan of those three in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel like towards the end, I think it's because Gandalf and they set up with Bilbo at the beginning. If you wear this ring for ages, you're this ring can affect people, or like being around this ring is it's bad. So then by the end of the movie, when people around the ring were starting to become arseholes, like namely Sean Bean, I was like, yeah, I know. And that's kind of where I was at with it.
Yeah, but that's kind of like the point, though. Like,
yeah, no, I know.
It's not. It's if you're looking for like high drama and twists and Shyamalan-esque everything like that, you won't get that with Lord of the Rings and fantasy storytelling, because it is very, in a way, basic and by the book and sort of paint by numbers classic storytelling. Like, because I said this before, it is kind of like the blueprint of, it's not the blueprint of stories were around for a long time before the Lord of the Rings, but in terms of like fantasy and the genre and everything like that, it is kind of where a lot, and I do mean a lot, Star Wars included, get their inspiration from for stories like this. So there's not really, the point of it isn't to have big twists and to keep you guessing and deaths for the sake of shock or anything like that. That's not really, that's more Game of Thrones. That's not this, really.
Which is that fantasy,
which is where I think that if people like yourself, if they come from Game of Thrones, I think they might struggle with this a little bit, because it is very different.
Yeah, I feel like
from that show.
That's a good point, actually, because I think like with Game of Thrones and then coming into this, I was sold a bag of false goods. Like I was expecting a lot more like gore, like blood, like kind of stuff like that, and that's not the movie's fault, but my expectations weren't met. So whether that's on me,
it's your fault.
I don't know, but
yeah,
the one of the things we spoke about in this film was the death. I want to retouch on it. The death of Big Sean Bean and kind of his character as a whole. So I really right, with reflection. This isn't actually what I said in the first recording of this as well. So this is fresh, hot content. With reflection, I've come to appreciate his character a lot more. So my first opinion of him was like, yeah, oh wow, look, he's the evil guy. I know, like he's a guy that's been corrupted by the ring. I get it. It's cool. Like, and then when he died, I was like, oh, now he's fine again. And I was a bit like, yeah. All right, hurry it on. I also, we did speak on this. I expected a little bit more from his death. Thought it might have been a bit more impactful if he'd just got shot with that arrow, when it was like there was a really nice shot of him on his knees and the arrow being pointed at him. I feel like it would have been a nice kind of swift like punch from reality if it actually just fucking killed him there and then. But that's again the Game of Thrones mentality.
That's literally what I was just going to say. That's George R.R. Martin speaking right there.
Yeah, exactly. So no, that's that. But I still. Like, whilst I respect that it's not, like, it isn't that kind of movie, I still hold true that I think that would have been just as effective as what they ended up doing. Not to say I didn't like what they did.
I would argue against that. I would massively argue against that.
Okay.
Purely for the conversation that Boromir has with Aragorn as he's dying. The conversation he has in his arms, where they do kind of reconcile, because throughout the movie there's been this kind of hostility towards between the two characters, because Aragorn is the heir of Gondor. It's his right, whether he wants it or not, to be king of Gondor. Boromir is the son of Denethor, an absolute fucking cunt who we'll get to, who is the steward of Gondor, and he is currently in control. He's not the king, he's the steward. He's taken over the kind of king's role, but he has no right to do so, no royal right to do so anyway.
Yeah.
So to him, Aragorn is a threat. Aragorn is a constant threat to his family, to his lineage, to his honour. So you see like moments like that. I think he even says Gondor has no king, Gondor needs no king to Aragorn at one point. And then in that moment, they kind of reconcile, and he says, "I would be proud to follow you. I call you my king, my brother," or whatever he says. It's just a beautiful moment, and you wouldn't have that if you just did the George R.R. Martin kill him while he's there thing, you know?
Fair enough. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, okay. I'll concede my point. Fine.
I really do like the character of Boromir, because it's very easy to just put him in that category of the bad one, the dark. He's dressed all in black. He's the clear villain of the Fellowship.
That's
he's the
exactly
one.
what I did. That is exactly what I felt for. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is easy, but I think if you watch it again and again, you watch these movies over and over again, like I have, you do notice more and more stuff throughout the entire movie, because there's moments like when they're all taking a break up on the mountaintop where he's just playing around with Merry and Pippin, teaching them how to sword fight and everything like that. Just a real nice light-hearted moment. When they've all just got out of the mines of Moria after Gandalf has quote-unquote died, and he's the one arguing to give the hobbits a moment to let them rest and to just take a breath after what happened, but Aragorn's telling them that they need to go.
Yeah.
Both are absolutely right for their reasons, but he's coming at it from a more sympathetic point of view. I do think there are just more moments where you see that it's not that clear black and white painting of a darker character. It is quite layered, which I enjoy.
Yeah, no, that is completely fair enough. To be fair, like I say, I fell into that box the first time I watched it, and then I haven't watched it since, but like I've reflected on it, thought about it a bit more and stuff like that. And it's
in the extended editions as well. He's in Two Towers as well. He's there's flashback scenes between him and Faramir and everything like that.
Okay, I was going to say, like, did
his
the
brother
extended
who
editions
shows
just
up.
change the canon of it? I was like, what the fuck?
No, there's like lots of stuff between him and his brother, and their dad, who's a complete prick. I actually have a fun fact about Boromir, if you want to hear it. Sean Bean, I should say.
I'd love to hear a fun fact about Sean Bean.
Okay, so because it was filmed in New Zealand, oftentimes quite a lot of high up places, like there's that one particular scene high up on a mountain.
Yeah.
That wasn't a studio. They actually filmed that high up on top of a snowy mountain.
Okay.
During they had to fly to remote shoot locations by helicopter, and Sean Bean is afraid of flying, so would only do it when absolutely necessary. When they were shooting the scenes of the Fellowship crossing the snowy mountains, he'd spend 2 hours every morning climbing the base of the mountain to the set near the top, already in full costume as Boromir. The crew were flown up and could see him from their helicopters and waved at him as they went by.
Oh my god.
There's a little fun fact for you.
Oh my god. Poor man.
Poor man. But can you imagine having to climb a mountain dressed in that full getup?
You know that's going to be fucking heavy as shit as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man.
Exactly.
Peter Jackson, what are you doing? Yeah, you're right. You may be one of the greatest fantasy directors that ever lived or whatever, but come on, mate. No need to be a dick.
Poor Sean Bean.
The man's afraid of heights. Get him a green screen. Oh man,
it was 2001. You couldn't do a green screen like you could today.
Nah, mate. This
it wasn't even
changed the game,
2001.
right?
It was 99.
This was pretty influential in terms of like changing filmmaking, right?
It did pioneer a lot of visual effects stuff. I mean, this is the studio. This is the reason why Weta, the visual production house, is as big as it is today, because of everything that happened with these movies.
Yeah.
Saying that though, it's not as visual effects heavy as you might think. A lot of it is on real locations. All the orcs and Uruk-hai and everything like that, they're actors all dressed up. Whereas in the later movies, the Hobbit trilogy, those are all purely CGI characters and everything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of it is all practically done, just enhanced really with
And the
visual effects.
the Hobbit's considered much worse, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've watched them, and there's good moments in them. But yeah, it's We'll get there.
It's
We'll
Martin
get there,
Freeman with big feet.
It's Martin Freeman. Martin Freeman's great in them. I think Martin Freeman's the best part of them.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Because Martin Freeman's very rarely the best part of anything.
He's a good actor. I think he is the best part of those movies, and he does a great job as Bilbo. But yeah,
I think he's got like Michael Caine thing where he's just been around long enough and people have got used to him. Like, but if you look at the roles he plays, it's just hello, I'm Martin Freeman, but this time in a wig.
Oh, he 100% is just Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
But I think that works for the character of Bilbo, though.
Everyone says that for that kind of stuff. Like, not just that, but like, yeah, but I think that works. It's like, no, just say they're a bad actor. That's what it is. It's like, yeah,
he's not a bad actor, though. Right. Anyway, we'll get into that later.
I think The Rock just kind of needs to be himself in the Fast and Furious movies, don't you?
How dare you slander that cinematic
the
masterpiece.
Big bold brick.
I won't have it. Right, okay. What did you think? Let's move on to the Two Towers. Okay. Let's go ahead here. What did you think of this movie overall?
So I've already said I really, really like this one. Like a lot more. Like, it was a noticeable step up. Right, when I watched Fellowship, like by the end of it, I went, oh, that was 3 hours. Like, but and I liked it again, obviously, but you feel that runtime with the the Two Towers.
Two Towers, yes.
Oh, it rolls off the tongue, Nathan. Society has influenced this. Yes, I still felt the runtime. I think you're always going to feel a 3 hour runtime, but overall, I enjoyed it a lot more. And I have my main theory as to why I enjoyed it a lot more. So in Fellowship, everyone, or the main plot, is always in the same place. The main plot is always together. There's never a split up, right? The entire Fellowship, lo and behold, is together for the whole fucking film, apart from the end. So when Sam was running after... By the way, Sam is so cute at the end of Fellowship, but at the same time, it's like, maybe just ask him to come and veer the boat back. Maybe don't try and drown yourself to show him how loyal you are. Like,
he's good. We talked about this. Like, he's the best character in all these movies.
He is absolutely the best character in the movies. But like, you're important, more important than you probably realise, Sam. So maybe don't just drown for something that could very easily be avoided. But yeah, so when they were splitting up, I was like, okay, so the next one is going to be them kind of separate, which I like more, because it's interesting you say this is the worst paced, because I feel like this is one of the best paced.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and I feel like I might be in the minority that say that, because I do think it's...
I don't know.
I don't know, it's very... because the Battle of Helm's Deep does make it very, like, a seesaw, but, like, kind of all of it's at all of it's at the arse end. But the building up to the Battle of Helm's Deep was what I really appreciated, and I liked how every time I was really starting to get invested, they flipped me off to somewhere else, and I cared about...
That's why I think it's the worst pace.
I like that.
The Battle of Helm's Deep, but the Battle of Helm's Deep literally just starts, and then they cut away to Merry and Pippin and some fucking trees.
Right? Man. Yeah. Look. Okay. Well, I'll get to the trees. got some thoughts on them fucking trees. I enjoy 60% of the plots in this trilogy. And I would say the 60% is made up of Gollum, Frodo, and Sam. Then you've got whatever the fuck Gandalf's doing at whatever time he's doing it. And then you've got the three legends, right? Who are like by far the most interesting plot for me. I don't really give a shit about any of the elf stuff back at home with Liv Tyler.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does.
Yeah, I just
you're alone with that.
And it's so long as well. Like whenever it cut back,
and it's all kind of in slow motion as well.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's just like a book falls out of Elrond's hands, and it takes like 2 hours to hit the ground.
Speaking of taking 2 hours to do anything, if I could go into the forest with a fucking saw, I'd cut down every single one of them fucking trees, right? Because they're just so pretentious. They're so up each other's fucking tree bark arses. They piss me off.
I want to know if they're pretentious.
They are pretentious. They're a bunch of bellend. Oh, we have to decide if we want to do anything. Fuck off. I'm not here for... No, you've got me mad about the trees now.
The tree, while I like the Battle of Isengard, and I like the fact there's a tree that's on fire that dunks his head in the water at the end. That's a good joke.
That is a good joke.
I think all of that stuff can be cut from this movie, and just speed it up, because they take about 3 hours to say anything. Treebeard has a line which even just says exactly that, and it's just all of it is just. Let's I don't care about any of this. Let's just move this along.
I don't mind it, right? When a movie, 90% of the time, I don't mind it when a movie is making a joke about its pacing, or making a joke about how long it's taking to do anything. I normally think, oh, that's quite on the nose. At least they're referencing it. But when the thing that's taking so long directly affects fuck all and nothing, right? Then I'm not on board with it. And then when you make those jokes, I go, no, this isn't funny. Move on.
Did you like the scene, because obviously Merry and Pippin are being tracked by Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. That's why at the start of this movie they're running across the mountains and the hills or whatever, searching for them, following the pack of Uruk-hai. Did you like the scene where Aragorn was kind of like going like fucking Sherlock Holmes and doing the whole detective
kind of thing?
Mind Palace tracking sort of thing? Did you like that?
Yeah, I liked it. I'd like it a lot more if I cared about, is it Merry and Pippin?
You don't care about Merry and Pippin?
I just felt they contributed enough in Return of the King. Yes, in the first two movies, I think the first movie in Fellowship, they just served as like. I was there basically. I genuinely, because I when I say I had no idea about this, I knew the basic plots of the trilogy. I didn't know anything about the side characters or like the less important players. In the first movie, I thought, okay, well these two are gonna die, and I thought they'd die to like wake Frodo up and be like, "You're not in the Shire anymore," kind of thing. Like it's not safe out here, kind of shit. And when they didn't, I thought, okay, they'll do something. And then in Two Towers, they didn't, and I went, oh. So by the time they got to Return of the King, and it's only really one of them that does anything worth of note. I was a little bit like,
I would disagree with that.
Go on. What do you think about them?
I think they both do something in in Return of the King. They both have a kind of arc in Return of the King. One of them becomes a soldier of Rohan. One of them becomes a soldier of Gondor.
Fine. Fine.
If we haven't mentioned this on the podcast before, Lawrence hates fun. So if you bring in a comedic relief character, Lawrence will absolutely despise them to their core. I just think that a
comedic relief character should be funny at bare minimum, right? And I didn't.
You not think they're funny?
I didn't really find them funny. No.
Oh, you are a hateful
It was
man.
but like the whole stuff like. Do you think he knows about dinner? No. Do you think he knows about the 300 dinners we have? No. What about supper? Like, I was like, I got it. You eat food. It just didn't.
It was breakfast and second breakfast. Okay.
No, it just didn't do anything for me. But I didn't hate them.
What a hateful man!
I didn't hate them. I just cared about their storyline less.
What an angry, hateful man. What happened to you as a kid? What made you hate fun so much?
I don't know.
You had some kind of traumatic event, like during a cartoon or something, which just made you hate everything.
Watching Tom and Jerry, and I don't know. Then we lost the house. I don't know, something like that.
You lost the house.
No, look, it's not that I didn't. It's not that I didn't like him. It's just that there was a lot of like. I felt that in this one, as much as it is my favourite of the three, there was a lot that they went, well, we need it to be 3 hours. And there was a lot that didn't need to be there.
I don't know if that's the case, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
I see what you're saying.
No, but overall... Yeah.
What did... so Carl Urban shows up in this movie.
Oh, yes, he does.
As a rider of Rohan, a young Carl Urban who can do a British accent, surprisingly.
Yeah, I don't know what's gone wrong in The Boys, but he just cannot do it anymore.
That's true. What did you think of the whole Rohan arc as a whole. So the Wormtail whispering in Theoden's ear, Theoden been poisoned by Saruman. What did you think of all that sort of stuff?
Firstly, right, the when he's all like, I think they did an amazing job making him look like he's like he's definitely had like an evil influence for years. And I really like that because the difference in like the actual character, the character's appearance is ridiculous. Like it's so good. So they did a great job on that for a start. I did like it. When he first came on the screen, I went, "What's Tommy Wiseau doing in this movie?" But I liked him. I have to say, at the start of it, I had no fucking clue what was going on. I feel like a teeny bit more exposition on that could have been nice, especially for a movie that does take so long explaining things. So I kind of didn't really know the relevance of what was going on for quite a while until I sussed it out, and then I started to enjoy it a lot more. And I like how when he came back, he was still like, it wasn't like, oh, the problems are fixed now because he's not like being whispered in his ear. He's not having his ear whispered into anymore. It was revealed that he was still a bit of a fucking moron, and left a lot of room for Aragorn to kind of take control, which I liked.
What did you think of Theoden as a character? Because Theoden is someone I go back and forth on, because I do like him, I do like him. Yeah, I think he's someone I go back and forth on a lot, and I think that he is a good person and he is trying to do the best for his people, but I think he has too much pride and that gets in the way of him
for sure.
Quite a lot. Because there's that moment before the Battle of Helm's Deep where Aragorn says to him, "Call on Gondor. We need help. There's 300 men. A lot of them are old and kids, and we can't do this alone. We need help." And he just flat out refuses.
Yeah.
He just won't do it. They have beef with Gondor. They just didn't come to their aid. Whatever. He's saying no. And then in the very next movie, when Aragorn, when they're talking about the siege that's coming to happen on Minas Tirith, Aragorn is saying, "We need to go to Gondor. We need to help them." And he's saying, "Well, they didn't come to help us. So why?" I'm like, motherfucker, you refuse to ask them for help.
Yeah, exactly.
You fucking idiot. So he's, for that, I don't know. I like him because I think it's one of my favourite moments in the entire trilogy in Return of the King, when the Riders of Rohan actually arrive at Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
And then he has that great speech and they all line up and then they just charge. That is a fucking beautiful moment.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Oh, he's good. It's sick. Yeah.
It's incredible, yeah. But I don't know. He goes back and forth for me.
I guess I'm the same. I can't say he goes much back and forth. I feel like I understood the point of the character, and ultimately, he was there to be what Aragorn shouldn't be as a king. And I think he served his purpose very well for that. It was a kind of a shake me moment where you feel like in real life, this guy, the second he said no, someone would have knocked him out and been like, "All right, well, I'm not dying because you're an idiot." Like, I'm not gonna, like, at least if I'm gonna die, I'd rather it be an honest, like, decently matched fight.
That's funny because that is exactly what happens in Return of the King, though. Like, not with Theoden, but with fucking Denethor and Gandalf.
Yeah.
Like, Denethor is saying, "No, we're not fighting. There's no actual danger happening. Don't worry about it." And then Gandalf just straight up fucking knocks him out and takes charge of the whole battle.
Just carts him into a wall. It's just like, shut up, you idiot. Gandalf's had enough of old men telling him shit that he doesn't want to hear. I thought he was fine. He served his purpose well, but yeah, it very much so was like a pride thing for him. It reminded me a lot of like the Night's Watch arc in Game of Thrones, where the amount of times Jon goes into a little office and it's just like, "By the way, you're wrong in every respect," and they go, "Oh, you shut up, you're just a bastard. What do you know?" It reminded me a lot of that.
What did you think of maybe his daughter, maybe his niece? I don't know.
What, the one that loves Aragorn?
One of the two female characters
that loves Aragorn.
So one of the two female characters that love Aragorn out of three female characters in the entire franchise.
Yeah. Fine, cool. Like, I mean, it sounds bad that I'm chugging off like one of the few female characters in this as not being really that interesting, but let's be honest, I'm not the one who gave her no lines and nothing to do. Like,
she had something to do in the third one, definitely. But yeah, in the second one, she is just kind of just kind of plotting about.
She's there
like
to look lovingly at Aragorn, and for Aragorn to be like, well, technically fucking an elf, but who. I don't know.
But I also broke up with her, so...
Oh, yeah. Well,
it is what it is.
Was it what happens in Helm's Deep stays in Helm's Deep?
Yeah. Alright, so I think what I like the most about Two Towers, aside from the actual battle itself, is just the moments before the battle, where everything's just a little bit quiet and eerie. There's, like, 90-year-old men and 12-year-old boys grabbing swords and shields and prepping themselves for the battle, and like Aragorn is just looking around like, this is just hopeless, like there's just no way we can win this fight. I just, and then he talks to the boy, and like
that's amazing.
And then, like, takes his sword.
That is such a good moment.
Yeah, I really like that moment, and then the battle itself is just.
Well, that was the moment where I, and I'm an idiot that it took this long, right? But I knew the next movie was called Return of the King, and when Aragorn went over and was like, by the way, this is how you hold a sword, I kind of half asleep went, oh yeah, he's the king.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, I know. I don't connect these dots, man. I like to just be there and enjoy it. But yeah, no, he was. I think that moment was probably one of the strongest in the whole movie. I really, really love the fact that it was like, who was it that they were fighting? It's either orcs or the other ones.
The Uruk-hai.
Okay, so they rocked up, and then it was just like there was like 5 minutes of just no one saying anything, and I was like, this is very tense. This is very, very good. And then that guy is it the guy that just lets go of his bow by accident?
Yeah, it's just some old guy.
Yeah.
Who just thinks. What I love is that all the Uruk-hai just like take a second and just look at the dead guy, and then just look up at them, and then just charge.
I love the moment they take on the other side, whereas he lets his bow go, and you just see him immediately go, oh no. like, and that man knows that because he doesn't know that the backup's coming, so he's there like, I've single-handedly fucked this. Like,
what do you like the kind of little competition that Legolas and Gimli seem to have?
I love
like
them.
Who can kill the most.
I loved that. The relationship between those two, like, it started off as a bit of like a bro thing between all three of them, but then Aragorn kind of went off to have his own arc, and then them two are kind of left behind. I loved it. Like, the whole thing with Gimli, to be honest. Like, I was expecting him at first to be like the easily annoyed dwarf. I was like, again, not a fantasy fan, so this doesn't do much for me. But it was like the little moments where like these two very athletic men were just sprinting off, and he was running up the hills behind them like, oh fucking hell, my legs are tiny.
Do you know he's actually the tallest member of the cast as well?
Shut up! You're joking.
Yeah, he's like 6'4" or something.
Mate, Peter Jackson is a man that can do scale very well.
He really can. He really can, because for a long time I thought he was actually a fucking dwarf actor.
Mate, I assumed. I didn't assume he was that small. I assumed he was a little short, kind of stumpy man, though. Like, you know Mark Addy in Game of Thrones? I was picturing something like that.
No, yeah, he's a fucking unit.
Fucking hell.
So they did well to hide that.
That's very surprising, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, should we go on to Return of the King?
No illusions, alright? I'm not going to lie to you. We took a little break, okay? We need to change the recordings over, so here we are. We're back to talk about Return of the King.
Hello, Nathan. I'm back, and I'm ready to talk about Return of the King.
Shut the fuck up and talk about the movie.
Right. My name's Lawrence. Today I'm going to be talking about Return of the King.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't need to intro again. You fucking idiot.
Don't like it when you put me on the spot.
I can tell. You just completely panicked.
I did. I really did.
You poor little man. All right, so we're back. Let's talk about Return of the King. Okay, so you're saying this one is kind of like kind of there kind of just wraps up the story. Is that what you're saying?
Like ultimately, I think for a kind of a trilogy that I feel like was building up to the end, I feel like I didn't quite get as much of an ending as I wanted, and
Are you sure? Because there was like 12 different ones.
yeah, I know, but
I mean, how many more do you want?
Look, put it this way, I can't really explain. I'm hoping talking to you about this will kind of ease my opinion on it a little bit, because I do like it. It's a good film, and it's a good conclusion. I feel like I just wanted a little bit more, and I don't know what it was that I wanted more, but I just felt like I didn't get everything I wanted from this. I felt when I finished it, I went, so that's Lord of the Rings, cool, and that was
Right.
it. And I felt like I'd feel a lot more.
I'm not really entirely sure what more you could have wanted though, because it does. I don't think there's any kind of thread left unanswered. Really, I'm trying to think back. There's probably some plot point dropped at some point.
What was it that
but
Finn wanted to tell Rey? That's what I want to know.
that he was a Jedi or whatever.
Okay, all right. Now I love Return
That was a
of the
different
King.
movie.
Now it's my favourite
Okay.
movie of all time.
Good. Do you think that you was maybe wanting more from Sauron, the big bad?
I guess that might be it, because
franchise.
he was ultimately just a big fucking eye.
He was a big guy.
And I feel like I didn't get much from him. It felt a little bit in the way that, you know how Voldemort wasn't part of Harry Potter until the fourth movie when he was actually a character. Felt like
Yeah.
that. Felt like I missed a big return,
So-
a big reveal, or a big stake.
So
increase.
interestingly, they did actually do that. They originally, this movie did have Sauron come out, take form again, and come out to the Black Gate and fight in that battle. You know the scenes where Aragorn is there fighting like a big troll? That was Sauron originally, and they just painted over him with a troll, because they felt like it didn't really work, and it took focus away from like Frodo and the kind of wrapping up of the battle. It wasn't necessarily about Sauron. It was like he's in human form anyway. He'd been dead for thousands of years at this point. It wasn't about him returning, and it didn't really make much sense that he could just suddenly return.
Was it not about him returning though? Because it was kind of the whole enemy plot.
It would if he got the ring, but he didn't.
But you can't say it wasn't about him returning, because the whole point of
No,
the whole
no,
antagonist force was
it
him trying to
wasn't-
get the ring. So that was surely the stakes.
But at that point he didn't have the ring. Though.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
So-
is it might have been cool. Right? I just think you can't cut it away by saying it wasn't the point. Like there can be sub points, there can be little plot points, but the entire antagonist force was Sauron trying to get the ring back into possession, and more so, the ring was trying to be back with him. So I feel like I feel like that could have. It's interesting that they even filmed that, because I think that could have worked really well. I feel like that. I know I'm in the minority that is saying I wanted a bit more from this, but
in order to do that, he would have had to have got the ring, though.
that's fine. Get it.
But you can't just get it, though.
Go get it. That's fine, man.
I fucking hate it. There is no point where he could have got the ring, because then it would be over. Because then you just couldn't have got it back from him.
Well, I don't know. You got enough of a powerful wizard on this side, right?
No.
Why
No.
couldn't you have? I feel like writers can technically kind of do anything they want. So why definitively could they not have fixed that problem?
Because the way I see it, if you're writing a whole franchise and you got 3 epic movies, each of them 3 hours long, they constantly talk about how you cannot let Saruman get the ring, because if he does, it will be over. Middle Earth as we know it will end. The Shire will burn. It will all be enslaved. Everything will be done, and Mordor will rule everything. It will be literally hell on Earth forever. And then you have the bad guy achieve that, and then it's over 5 minutes later because someone cut off his hand it just kind of weakens it all a little bit. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do and I don't. I feel like I'd be with you completely. I don't think he should necessarily get the ring and then we see those consequences play out. I think he should get very close to getting the ring, though. Do you know what I mean? I feel like... Because when put it this way, when Frodo and Sam got there and the big battle was happening, right, underneath them all and shit,
Yeah.
I was still there thinking, like, oh, but they're just... All they need to do is fucking hoy it down there and then they're done. Like, I know Frodo was having his own kind of internal struggle with, if I bin this, then I'm a little bitch again, kind of thing, and like having his own kind of corrupted headspace moment. But ultimately, right, if it got that bad, all Sam would have had to do is pick Frodo up and fucking yeet him.
But all right, you say that, but that was just never going to happen.
No, of course it's not
it?
going to happen. But what I'm saying is,
Like,
I'd have rather Sauron get closer.
Sam wouldn't do that. Sam wouldn't do that.
Well, then he's a bitch.
Yeah, he is. But even if it came to that, I get what you're doing. I get you being funny and everything like that. But it would not come down to that.
No, right. Look, take the jokes aside, right? A serious point I'm trying to make is the fact that I don't think Frodo having that conflict that he's, by the way, been having for the better part of 2 movies now was enough of a kind of stake increase for the final bit. I feel like I don't need Sauron to, like, bear in mind this is fantasy. You can do what you want, so to speak. Obviously, don't take the piss, but I don't need him to come back in a physical form. But I'd have enjoyed a bit more resistance once they get up there. Like, do you not think anything?
I think
would
they
have been
did
in
though.
place?
That's why they had. Yeah, that's why they had Gollum come back. That's why Smeagol was
but
there. As that final bit of resistance before they did it.
I get what you're saying. I feel like now that I've put my finger on it, I did kind of want more of an antagonist force directly influencing Frodo and Sam in that last bit, because it all came down to them, right? Like no matter what happened, if they didn't bin the ring, they're still fucked. I feel like it could have been nice to have a little bit more resistance in that. That being said, I did like Gollum coming back and kind of just being like, nah, if you're lobbing the ring, I'm going as well, kind of thing.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about those 3 at all yet. So overall, like Sam, Frodo, and Gollum, Smeagol, that arc. What did you think of it? Of that whole arc?
So it was one of the storylines that I did like. It was one that I wasn't part of the 40% I didn't. I did really enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot more, and I found I got a lot more out of it once I'd watched the opening act or the opening scene to Return of the King. So I up to that point, I like a lot of my appreciation for it was just watching it and being in awe of how good Andy Serkis is as a performer. But then,
great.
like, I did enjoy. Like, I think we made a joke in the last one. Sam is obviously the best character in this. I enjoyed the fact that they.
It's not a joke; it's a fact.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but I liked the very specific point that Frodo is there because, like, no one else could kind of do this, and Sam is there because he's there to keep him in check. I did enjoy that kind of friendship and how Sam takes it so seriously. Even when Frodo
100%.
is just a complete and utter wanker, which he is for a large deal of this trilogy. Like, Frodo is not a bloke.
Yeah.
I feel like if I was Sam, I'd be doing this because it was my duty to the world, right? And then as soon as it was done, Frodo, ring or not, I'd be like, by the way, I don't like you. But I know Sam's a nice boy.
But you're not as good of a person.
It's
as
true.
Sam.
It's true.
He's the best.
Sam
of all
is
of
too
us,
pure
so.
for this world.
He's the definition of too pure.
He
for
is.
this world, really.
I did like the Gollum Smeagol kind of thing there, and the ending of the ending of Two Towers. Is it the ending of Two Towers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is,
where he has that moment where they were basically being like, "No, they'll betray you. They'll do something." That's those scenes. They happened only a few times, but those scenes were just some of the best fucking scenes in the whole thing.
I said this when we did the first attempt to recording this episode, but those scenes were so good that when I was a kid, I genuinely thought there was two Golems. There was two different versions of Golem, a good one, Smeagol, and then a bad one, Gollum. Just because just the way it's shot with like the camera angle turning, and you don't see his face soften or harden at any point. You just hard cuts straight into the other persona, which is just so good. It is so good, and for a dumb little like an 8 or 9-year-old who didn't understand filmmaking, I was like, oh, there's two of them.
I just suddenly thought about this.
Where's the other one been hiding?
Suddenly thought about this. When did 2002 was Spider-Man 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Unless it's a coincidence, Sam Raimi 1,000,000,000% copied this technique. For the Doc Ock, the real crime would to be not to finish what we started. No, I can't do that. I'm a nice boy. I'm a big scientist man.
Oh, I think you might have been, yeah, because that would have filmed in 2003.
Yeah.
And Lord of the Rings came out December 2002.
So there we go.
Yeah, that adds up. Yeah.
Bloody hell, Sam. So yeah, ultimately, I did. That storyline, that kind of arc between those three, I did really enjoy.
Yeah, me too. And I genuinely do. We have joked about it, but I genuinely do think Sam is the best character in these movies. He's without a doubt the bravest character.
Yeah, for sure.
He's 4 feet tall, and he will straight up just march into a fucking tower filled with orcs to get back Frodo. Yeah. He'll do it. He'll fight a fucking giant spider. He'll do whatever. And then that moment where they're marching towards Mount Doom, and I can't carry it for you, Mr. Frodo, but I can carry you. Every fucking time I just punch the air. I'm like, fuck yes.
That is.
You go, Sam.
That is so cute.
What a hero.
Yeah, I do like this film. When I felt I was being harsh on it at the beginning. I do like this movie, and I do think it's a suitable like conclusion to it. I'm wondering if you can clear this up for me. I don't quite understand why Frodo just pieces out at the end of it.
I'm not sure. He explains it as like
his injuries or something.
No, not really. It's more like
he does. He says something like I can't be at peace here with my injuries or whatever.
I think that's more like metaphorical, really. I think he's more because he says they set out to save Middle Earth, but it hasn't been saved for him. I don't know if I'm reading too much into that, but that kind of reads to me like a sort of PTSD sort of thing, and that he just can't seem to settle in the Shire again. Because after going through all that, and then just suddenly coming back to happy-go-lucky farmers who will all have a dance and a pint at the local and everything like that, it would be fucking bizarre. Like,
mate, a pint at the local is all I'd want after this.
Well, yeah, but no, it would, and that is like a lot of real thing. That's what a lot of soldiers struggle coming back from war. Like, you're in these fucking shit hellholes, and then you just suddenly come back and everything's fine. And it is a difficult contrast to deal with. Trust me, I've seen it firsthand. I've not been there by myself, but I deal with someone quite regularly who does. But it is incredibly difficult to deal with, so I can completely understand why like he wouldn't be able to settle there. So
do you think that would have worked maybe a bit better in reverse? Do you think it would have been quite nice to see the ring's influence fade from Frodo and to have him be like, everything's fine, but the person that it did deeply affect was Sam? Not the ring itself, but the fact that, because I always think that like the ending of this, everyone's like, well done Frodo, Frodo's the best guy ever, and Sam's there like, I did so much more than that little fucking weasel.
He did. What do you mean, like Sam? No, I don't think it would have worked really, because Sam he's brave, and he is willing to do whatever he wants, but throughout the trilogy you do see that this isn't his world, and all he really wants to do is just go back home, do his gardening, marry Rosie Cotton, and have a couple of kids. That is he keeps talking in the first one. If I take another step, this will be the furthest I've ever been away from home. Then he's talking about rationing the bread for the return journey home, and like Frodo's like, oh, that's clearly something I haven't actually thought about. Whereas Sam, clearly he is thinking about constantly getting back to the Shire. I don't really think it would have worked for him to then turn around and be like, no, this doesn't work for me, really.
I don't mean necessarily Sam leaving the Shire and following the exact same plot points that Frodo did. I mean like more in the sense of him being the one that's kind of more mentally affected by the journey.
Yeah, maybe, but I like that Sam got to have his dream, that he got to have what he wanted. He got to have a family and settle down into a nice, simple life, which for him is ideal.
Yeah, I suppose you want the nice ending. I'm like, what would...
You're George R. R.
I'm
Martin.
thinking of like...
You're just like...
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Game of Thrones has truly jaded you. It has.
I've been brainwashed this whole time. One thing I'll say, because I want to touch on it. I know we still want to speak about the rest of the movie. Watching this, I realised how much has been fucking ripped off from these.
Okay.
Like from these movies.
Yeah.
From the notable ones, obviously, like Game of Thrones, which we've already spoken about. But the Harry Potter tie-ins are extremely evident as well. Like you can't wear that Horcrux for too long, Ron. It will make you cross. Like,
oh yeah,
that
100%.
Yeah, I was watching it.
It's even on a chain around the neck as well. Yeah,
exactly. I couldn't possibly wear it. What was it that I said in there? There's so many. I'm sorry, I've just seen a note that says the line, it's got quotation marks, says, I am no tree, and I've put, but you literally are.
Right.
So there's that. But the other things, I mean, kind of like the like Gollum and the like grip hook kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Like,
yeah.
There's just a lot in this that I feel like
there definitely is. Yeah.
When you say a lot of genres use this as like the blueprint.
Yeah.
I feel like they also were like, well, we may as well just take little pieces of the plot as well while we're here.
Look, okay. It's come to light recently that J.K. Rowling's not as great as we thought she was. Okay, so makes perfect sense that she'd steal some stuff here and there.
J.K. Rowling's a trifling ass bitch.
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
that's my political stance.
All right. So, what did you think about the whole stuff going on at Minas Tirith? So, Gandalf, Pippin, Gondor, Denethor, all of this.
Ultimately, right. So, bearing in mind, I watched these all in the space of a week. It all kind of, a lot of the main story, as I suppose it should do to an extent, rolls into one for me. I don't have a very clear separation on each separate film.
Right.
I just kind of consider the story as a whole. I liked it. I didn't not like it. I felt like the battles kind of weren't as good as as the ones in Two Towers. I did very much so enjoy how is it Boromir's brother that's like, well, he's dead, and, and then everyone being like, but he's not.
He's just
and he's
not
like,
dead.
Nah, he's dead.
No,
he's fully never. His head's moving. Don't worry about it. He's dead.
No, he's definitely dead.
Well and truly
so what
dead.
we're gonna do? We're gonna burn him and me together.
Yeah.
Because I can't go on because both of my sons are now dead, except one of them isn't. But shush.
Yeah, but don't worry about it. And I felt that was so weird.
I fucking hated him so much that I think the scene where Faramir and the other Gondor riders are going out to retake Osgiliath, the city down the road from down the road. That sounds weird in this setting, but down the road from Minas Tirith, they're going to try and retake it
just off the M1.
Yeah, but they 100% know they're riding to their death. They 100% know that it's not a fight they can win, but they still go.
Yeah.
And Pippin is singing that song, and it's intercut while that song is happening, and Denethor is just tearing into that fucking chicken and grapes or whatever. It's so well done, but it just makes me hate him so fucking much.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it's that I think that because obviously these films did change a lot of filmmaking, like we were saying earlier. Like they set the blueprint for a lot of films that came after. That was one of them. The song in the middle of a battle kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's been fucking milked for all it's worth, but it's so fucking effective. In this movie,
it's so effective in that scene, and you don't. And what I like is that the song keeps going. It doesn't cut off, and then you hear like the clash of swords and everything like that. It's still just the song until Gandalf shows up and just like fucks off the Nazgul. Oh, what did you think of the Nazgul?
The what?
The ring wraiths, the guys in black hoods with no faces.
Oh, the ones that love the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine. It felt like they were a bit of they were fine. I think I enjoyed them a lot more and found them a lot more daunting. But then when they showed up and someone, I can't remember who says it, someone's like, "But we killed them," and you're like, and then whoever was next to him goes, "Nah, you can't kill them, mate. They're too scary." Like, and I felt like that at that moment they kind of lost a bit of weight for me because I was like, "Well, what's the point in them then? If there's no threat to them because you can't kill them and they're just going to kill you." I felt a little bit like, oh, okay.
No, you can't kill them.
But I did enjoy them a lot beforehand.
Yeah, I think the sound that they make, that just kind of shriek, just fucking... I don't know what it is, but it sets my nerves on edge. That just high piercing shriek. And clearly it does to everyone else in the movie, because it completely fucks them over, or whatever. But...
Cut to J.K. Rowling drawing them on a whiteboard, scrubbing out the horse and going, "Dementors."
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else to say really. I said before, but the moment where the Riders of Rohan turn up at Minas Tirith, and there's just that charge, and then just the absolute evisceration of the orcs as well. They just fucking absolutely pound into them. That's great to see.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you love an underdog.
You do. You
a lot
absolutely
of the time this movie was operating on the whole like, this battle can't possibly be won
until it can.
Until someone else shows up and then we win again.
Yeah. That is kind of what happens in both of them. But yeah, it is great. And then as well,
cut to George R.R. Martin writing Battle of the Bastards.
Cut to George R.R. Martin writing the entire Game of Thrones saga.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, no, but and then as well there was some ghosts that show up and just win the battle.
There were a few spooky boys, weren't there?
A few spooky boys in there. I think we're just listing stuff at this point.
No, but then I like the fact that Aragorn walks in there and they're like, "Get out," and he's like, "Nah, you got to do something." And they're like, "We're not going to do that for you. We'll only do it for the king." He's like, "I am the king," and they go, "Oh, all right."
I guess we'll do that.
They go, "Yeah, fair enough." Respect it.
Well,
I did like that he kept his promise to them though.
Yeah, the promise to release them, and
yeah,
I think Gimli's like, let's keep them around. Very good enough. Fight these lads.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we? You know how this relationship's hanging by a thread anyway. Should we just piss him off?
I honestly think the funniest line in all three of these movies is where the Battle of Minas Tirith is won. They're kind of just sitting in like the throne room of Gondor, deciding what to do next, and they all make the decision that they're going to go to Gondor and meet the enemy at the Black Gate. They're going to give Frodo the distraction. And they're all in agreement. And then Gimli just pipes up and goes, "Well, strong chance of death, little chance of success. What are we waiting for?" It's so good.
I think a lot of these, like, there is some great little moments in this. And I feel like I really am happy that these were made when they were made, when there wasn't such a big, you can make a serious movie, but it's got to have hilarious jokes in every scene at least. Yeah. Because they do. This is like the era of movies where humor was done so well and kind of woven in naturally.
Yeah.
rather than like we have to have at least 8 jokes because what else is going to go in the trailer kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
And
so that was nice. That was nice.
Yeah, I think Legolas and Gimli, they do that great. They do provide a lot of the humour for these. Like their little competition still carries on into this movie. There's the moment where Legolas takes down the big elephant with all the riders on top of it, and Gimli's like, that still only counts as one, which it clearly doesn't.
Oh yeah.
But all right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's them two. I like. Was it the moment where Aragorn like throws him and he's like, "Don't tell the elf, please."
What I like as well is in the first one as well. There's the moment where Aragorn was gonna do that, but he's like, "Nobody tosses a dwarf," and then he jumps himself.
Oh yeah.
That's great. I don't know if it's in Return of the King or in Two Towers. I can't quite remember where it's Legolas and Gimli talking, and he's like, "Never thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf. What about side by side with a friend?" I could do that. I like that moment. That's just really sweet.
That's a good moment. I feel like I would appreciate it a lot more if I hadn't seen a million memes about it.
Yeah, you can't really fault the movie for that though.
No. I'm not gonna fault the movie, but I feel like that moment would have had a bigger impact on me had I not known about it beforehand.
That's fair enough.
But yeah, it definitely is like a great little moment. I like how like when it's all said and done, they're actually just like they're homies.
Yeah, lads.
Ultimately.
All right, so
the boys.
Let's kind of wrap it up here. What did something this movie is famous for? And we've already touched on it. Is the 7 different endings, because the movie literally fades to black and you think it's done, and then it just comes up again and then fades into just more movie. It's literally fucking the ring has been destroyed, the tower has fallen. Frodo is looking across Middle Earth, and they're like, "It's done. It's finally over." Fades to black. Refade up.
Yeah.
Frodo and Sam lying on a rock, and then it just carries on and on and on. What did you think of the several endings that they put in here?
I mean, you're always gonna get it, aren't you? Like, it's a franchise that obviously knew its worth, knew that people were gonna want more, and so they kind of. I feel like that happens all the time in big, like in the third movie of things, where they try and round off every story possible, but it can't be natural, and it has to kind of be a series of scenes of the different characters getting what they wanted.
Yeah.
Like, because unless they spend 90% of the film showing people getting to that point, rather than finishing the threat or like completing the arc of the character, like they have to just kind of do them one by one at the end. So you're always going to get it, but yeah, there was a lot of moments where I went okay, and then went to close my Mac and I went, oh, he's still going. Okay, back I go. But yeah, no, like I say, I'm not going to fault it on it. I think it knew its worth. It deserved a few endings. Like it's a good franchise, and people obviously wanted to see where their characters ended up.
Yeah.
Because there's a character for everyone in this. This isn't one where I could pinpoint and say that would be everyone's definitive favourite character. Like how in Game of Thrones, basically, it's Jon.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing like that in this. So I like it, man. Like it gives people that chance to see where their favourites ended up.
I like it too. Yeah, I do, and I am actually very interested to go and back and watch the Hobbit trilogy now, and just see the differences and how vast or not vast they are. And I'm really interested to hear what you'll have to say on that. I'm sure you'll have many thoughts on those movies.
They're not as long, are they?
No, they are. They are just as long. I think even longer in parts. So we'll have
Fantastic.
We'll have that to look forward to when we get to that. But yeah, but
disclaimer: it's not next week.
It's not. No, next week is
Hunt for the Wilder People.
Hunt for the Wilder People. Yeah, that's right. So tune in for that.
Indeed.
But anyway, yeah, that's kind of it, really. I don't really have much more to say. Overall, I still love these movies. Still put them quite high up on a pedestal. They're a big part of my childhood, and that doesn't, and my thoughts on them doesn't really seem to have changed at any point in the past fucking almost 20 years or so. So
I would summarize my thoughts by saying I like them. I'm glad I watched them now and not when I was younger, as I feel like I know what I'm like with long films, and it would have taken me way too long to come back to them.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not in a rush to rewatch them because they are such a fucking time commitment. But ultimately, I'm happy I watched them, and I'm happy I can. When people are like start speaking about the Lord of the Rings around me, I don't have to be like, I've never seen it, never seen it before. Sorry. And then had to deal with, you've never seen Lord of the Rings. So I'm excited for that.
There we go. We can't wait for that, to be around other people
What
again.
What I'll do in those conversations now instead is direct them to this podcast. Or if they don't know you and only want to have a conversation with me, I can direct them to my audio
fuck
that did explore.
off. Okay. It's
From the
over.
original.
We've done it now. It's over. All right. Whatever fucking rating system do you want to do then, you cunt?
I don't know. I feel like we've done a new intro. We're gonna do a new outro. I would like to give you the rating system, and you can decide.
What a gracious gift. That's definitely a gift.
That's all right.
And not at all just pawning it off on me. Thank you very, very much for that.
You're very welcome.
How many rings out of 9 would you give to this? Because there's 9 rings. Do you get it?
I do get it. Yeah.
Go on then.
That's a good one, mate. How many rings out of 9? So is 9 the best?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So if 9's the best, I'm going to give this.
And this is the trilogy. It's not individual movies, it's the trilogy.
Okay. That does lower it slightly for me.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah, sorry. But it's still not a bad score. Overall, I'm going to give it a 7.5.
7.5 out of 9, which is actually...
Out of 9. It's not a bad score.
It's a quite good score. That is quite a good score.
It's quite a good score, but I would have given it a solid 8, but when you said it was out of the... when you said it was for all 3 movies, I remembered that I don't care much for one half of Fellowship.
I will go for a solid 8 out of 9 rings. Similar reasons. I just think that while I enjoy the trilogy as a whole, there is just certain moments in the Two Towers which for me just don't quite work. But overall, absolutely love the trilogy. And excited to... I don't know. I'm excited for Amazon's show, actually, to see whatever that is.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm excited for it more so now.
Because it's like
I'm quite excited to see them.
I think it's in the Second Age, which is like thousands of years before this, so quite far back. I don't know if it is.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with like how much, because one big thing about this franchise is they padded a lot of movies.
Yeah.
With some fluff. I'm interested to see how they stick. If it's probably going to be like an hour-long episode kind of structure, like a 50-minute kind of thing.
I'd imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like to see what they do if they keep it as a concentrated 50 minutes and keep the episodes episodic with an episode arc per episode.
Yeah.
Or if they make it a 10-hour movie.
Well, we'll see. I think that's coming out this year, maybe? I don't know.
Bloody hell. I can't wait to watch them slowly over the course of many months.
Let me actually...
Oh, misty eye of the mountain below. Keep careful watch of my big toe. Okay, thank you very, very much for sticking with us. If you have done for this long, this is a longer pod, but we had 3 big movies to talk about. So thank you very much if you have stuck with us. We will be back on Thursdays. We switched up our release schedule, so now we're going to be doing every Thursday evening. Next week we've got Hunt for the Wilder People, which is a Taika Waititi comedy. I think it was 2016, and it's got the kid from Deadpool 2 in it, and it's a right old laugh.
Yeah, and then the week after that we'll be doing Ted Lasso. And then I believe after that we'll be doing a WandaVision recap. Very much enjoying that show, so come back, stick around for that. Whatever you want to do, it's all good.
All right, goodbye everyone.